this morning, news has just broken there that Peter Moore is stepping down as Liverpool's CEO, and Billy Hogan will assume the role from September. On this, I always find these things a bit weird. I guess, I understand why they're sort of top of the news agenda right now, not least because I've never been hugely interested in people knocking around in suits, I've got to be honest. And I feel like we do talk about, maybe a bit of a legacy of the Hicks and Gillette days, maybe just a legacy of the way football's gone, and that we're all a bit more obsessed with finances and stuff than we once were and things like that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on it, mate? Has it rocked your world that Peter Moore's leaving this morning, or is it a shrug of the shoulders?
Well, I want to make clear I'm not like outside his apartment and the way the club's run since Hicks and Gillette, but also because of our competition. Because we're up against Man City and dubious, I think we can say. Chelsea have got a lot of money, so we've always wondered about how can we punch above our weight. Yeah. How can we? And I think it's clear that Peter Moore, since he's come in, has done a good job by all accounts, and so has Billy Hogan in terms of transforming our revenues. Peter Moore negotiated the big deal with Nike, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I think when he first came in, he's obviously got such a strange career, hasn't he? In computer games, video games for years, working with giants like Sega and Microsoft. And then he's come in, he's a scouser, but a scouser with maybe some early missteps. Sometimes just around the language he used, because it was I've certainly been impressed by the times he's come on the Anfield Wrap and spoke. I thought he was very good around the time of the Divock Origi banner, and the way that was handled, and the way that he's addressed kind of LGBTQ issues has been impressive. He's spoken very well a number of times on sort of fan culture. So he's obviously someone who cares. And from his point of view, well, bloody hell, he came, he saw, he conquered, and then he fucked off. Yeah. I mean, we've won the European Cup, we've won the league. What left is there to do, mate? But obviously, yeah, it's a big change, and people will be interested to see the way we go forward now, because Billy Hogan's obviously an FSG man, some cold business speak, since the beginning, hasn't he? So it's obviously a big step up for him, but he's somebody who I believe is really well trusted and well about our finances and our funding, because we've not been playing any games, we've not been getting the revenue from matches. There's still big projects, big work to be done. There's the new stand, the new Anfield Road End development. And I think a lot of us are wondering where that's up to and get it built, Yeah. But I don't know what you think. I mean, what are your thoughts of Peter Moore? I mean, you've met him quite a few times, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what to make of him at first. And I think he's had a bit of a strange role at Liverpool in that, nominally, if you like, CEO, but then equally sort of not responsible for a lot of things you would expect maybe a CEO to traditionally be looking over, really. So, we've always known that Mike Gord and FSG. So he was felt like he was a bit of a figurehead a lot of the times. It was a slightly different role to as advertised almost. And it seems a bit, I don't know, it was a bit like, oh, he's going, is he? Yeah. I mean, all the news reports are saying he had a 3-year contract and it's the end of his 3-year contract, and they've decided to have a bit of a reshuffle, which I guess makes sense and stuff like that. Figurehead of a few things that have riled me a little bit as well. It's not all being sweetness and light with him. I think that the trademark stuff wasn't handled particularly well. I think, the communication with the people that a lot of people found out about that through the back door rather than being upfront about some of the stuff with sort of local traders, smaller traders and stuff like that as well. Liverpool's fight right now, of all the stuff that Liverpool does around the world, of all the business that it does, of all the deals it can strike, does it really need to be going after not only with the Anfield app but with Well Read magazine previous to that? And so, yeah, some of that didn't sit right for me. I think as well, I feel like I'm thrown under the bus here a little bit, so soz Peter. But, there was a speech he did once where, I just thought, why have you mentioned that? And I did say it on Talking Reds. He did a speech to, I think it was at one of the Liverpool business events. And he just used the terminology, like the hubcaps. And it was like, what does that mean? Who says it? What is it? And just don't make reference to what is obviously being a a horrible stereotype about Liverpool down the years. He was trying to be positive. Am I going weird?
Yeah, you did for a minute there, but I think you're back now.
I think by and large, he's been here at a time where Liverpool's business has been on the up. And, once upon a time, and I think Billy Hogan's made reference to it in the past as well, it didn't used to be great, did it? You'll remember as well as I do that we used to talk about things Liverpool did and talk about things, say, Manchester United did, and be like, well, why don't we do that? Why is the club shop closed after winning the European Cup and, things like that?
Yeah, we do seem now to just exploit, and again, that's a cold word, we seem to exploit our success better, which, a business has to do. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, won the European Cup in 2005, and you couldn't buy a shirt with European Cup winners on it. And there was the whole furlough debacle as well, wasn't there? And then the backtracking over that. The one thing I would say is, if we're saying that we think he's a bit of a figurehead, and sometimes we wonder how much, decisions were his, well, we can't really entirely criticise him for being the man who takes the blame for, for some of FSG's calls. He has been quite open with fans, hasn't he? He was willing to have a chat on Twitter, unlike a few people. I asked him to DM me once, which he did, so I could have a moan about not having a ticket for a game because of selling arrangements. So he was quite open and willing to engage. And it's interesting that they want to move forward without him. Quite what he does now, I don't know. Back to Sega to launch a Dreamcast 2. Who knows?
I wonder if he sticks around on the Wirral and watching the Reds, or if he goes back to America. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, I guess from his point of view as well, whatever you think of him, you'd take the job, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? If that was offered to you and you got the chance to basically knock around the inside of Liverpool Football Club, meet all the players, meet Jurgen Klopp, all the rest of it. I mean, whatever you think of him, we all know his story because he told it enough times. And he is a fan. There's no two ways about it. He is a fan of the club. And I guess as you...
Absolutely.
In terms of business, by the way, I've just got to say that by now, during this chat, you've maybe noticed that I've got a snazzy new cup there on the other side. That is currently available from the Anfield Wrap shop. So if you like a brew in the morning like myself and you want a lovely cup to hold it, I heartily recommend this.
That was a subtle plug there, a very subtle plug. I don't think you've got a future career on them shopping channels talking through why you should buy pillows and bedding.
Nah, but you never know, mate. Don't rule that out. The other thing that's about this morning that I've enjoyed is Andy Lonergan has spoken to Theo Squires, your colleague at the Liverpool Echo. Just talking about what it's been like, basically, to be, talking about kicking about Liverpool, being plucked from absolute obscurity to being involved with, a Premier League winner, and he's been out to Qatar, and, he's been sat on the bench when Liverpool won the Super Cup, all the rest of it. And Jurgen Klopp, as promised.
Rochdale, he was at League One Rochdale.
Yeah, I think it was,
Yeah, I mean, it's astonishing, and I think he hadn't been a first-team keeper since he'd been at Fulham in, 2017. He's had his fair share of injuries down the years, and I think he just sort of thought, well, that's it, that's my lot. I've enjoyed my time in football, but it's not going to get any better than this. And then the best manager in the world or the best keeper, when you've not even seen him, don a pair of gloves. And obviously, you always hear the usual stuff about, they've got to be a good character and they can't upset the dressing room and stuff like that. And I always sort of think, well, how could they? I mean, he's not coming in demanding a start ahead of Alisson. Yeah. They've got to be somebody who mixes well. And I wonder whether they've got to be someone who trains well with the other keepers as well, and helps the other two. And obviously, Adrian seems to be a larger-than-life character as well, doesn't he? So I think the personalities of reserve keepers are obviously important. But what really shines through in Theo Squires' excellent piece for the award-winning Liverpool Echo, he talks about, doesn't he, Andy Lonergan, about Klopp as a man. And I mean, obviously, we all know our boss Jurgen is. We all know what incredible person he had with him, the way Klopp sold being part of this, and how he talked to him. There's a mention of an injury, a bad injury that Lonergan sustained in 2000. He's never even spoke a word of it, Jurgen. And then one day just turned around to him and said, you'd have had a totally different career and obviously achieved a lot more if it hadn't have been for that bad injury, And that's kind of the human side of Jurgen that really just makes him like the best man manager in football, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what's good. Much of what he says tells you yet again that, you know, the culture at Liverpool, clubs where players who aren't in the team and things like that might be moaning, might be slagging off the manager behind his back and things like that. And I guess a bit like sort of any workplace up and down the country, really. You know, we will have all seen behaviour like that. We might have even been responsible for some of it ourselves and everything that he does. And you sense that. And as you say, you know, to sort of taking the time to know a peripheral figure's story and go out his way to go and talk to him about that and make him feel wanted and make him feel part of the team. That is brilliant management. And I like the stuff from Lonergan where he's saying, you know, because of his age, 36, because of where he was in his career, he said, I felt my passion for the game slipping away a little bit. But I've got it back this year, and I've got it back so much. Stuff with Steve Warnock, and he knows Andy. He plays golf for them. And Steve Warnock had already said that Andy's been banging on about when they've been playing golf. Like, it's so good. It's the dressing room's so good. The mood at Melwood is so good. And problem child, there's no one sort of spoiling for a fight or looking to upset the apple cart. It is all pretty much zen. And I think there's a line in there about, you know, he treated Andy Lonergan the same way he would treat Mo Salah. You know, what a fella.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And now, you know, for Lonergan moving forward, I mean, obviously, wish him all the best. If he does decide to, you know, another year somewhere else, but God, he's got some experience with him, you know, to bring with him, and what he can now bring to a dressing room of working at the very highest level with like the very best players and the very best manager. I mean, just on the topic of Klopp, I mean, I don't know if you saw the video with Andy Robertson. I think it was for Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, discussing mental health, just Robbo and the other Robbo, and openly. And, you know, we've had a lot of managers down the years that I think's about the best ways to deal with anxiety and stress. But with Jurgen, you just feel like almost on any topic, I'm just fascinated to hear what he has to say on it. Yeah, because absolutely. He's obviously, you know, he's such an intelligent man, but I think he has like an emotional intelligence, Jurgen, that like empathy, which you can't buy, can you? Lock the best out of them. And aside from everything else we've achieved, you know, the players we've signed, the tactics, that really is the heart of everything we've done, isn't it? It's like Jurgen's emotional intelligence, and how he's like just got into the minds of every player and got them on board with this like dream, and fulfilled it. Yeah,
I mean, you're right to bring it up. You've got the manager sat there with Andy Robertson, and it's so comfortable and it's so spot on, and I just like the way that, you know, I hear people say all the time, oh yeah, you know, you should talk. Just talk. You would just say talk about mental health, and they don't really tell you why you should be talking or what you should be saying. Is kind of my issue with it. Whereas, as you say, you know, it's not Jurgen Klopp's field as such. Although we do know he's got a big interest in psychology. But, you know, this is a man talking in his second language, and he absolutely nails it. He's saying, you know, whatever it is you're going through, there will be someone out there who's gone through the same. You know, you're not alone. You can't. You know, what a guy, like, you know. You've heard people say before, you know, he could easily be like a prime minister, or a politician. You've heard even his own paymasters say he could be the CEO of a top company. And now we're seeing, you know, he could be a counsellor. He could be a therapist.
It's phenomenal. It really is. And like, I know it's, you know, it's a cliche. I mean, you're a parent, I'm a parent. I say to my children, if ever there's like an issue or there's something they're not happy about, and I know that's like a cliche, a problem shared, a problem halved, but it's true. You know, if you can talk to someone you trust, someone you confide in, it makes a big difference. We're all going through stresses, especially at the moment. You know, redundancies. You know, people being laid off work, people concerned about their health, about their family, about loved ones, blah. Anything, what you're up to, how you're feeling. It does take 5-10 minutes, but it's good to check in on people you love. You know,
absolutely.
And so.
Who knows what they're on about, you know, like, so, you know, Mick in the pub who you have a bevy with, if you just throw it at him that you're having suicidal thoughts, Mick might not know what to do. So, you know, in that particular instance, I would perhaps go and seek some professional opinion on that one. On Lonergan, just to finish up as well, there's a quote here which I really liked where he says, I think you get people who say there isn't much difference stepping up a level or two, but I've stepped up right to the top. And let me tell you, there is a difference. He says there are a lot of talented players in the lower leagues, but these boys have something else. They're a lot sharper, a lot faster. Technically, they're obviously better. But this is the good bit for me, if you like. He says, but mentally, the mentality was something I really noticed. The mentality and professionalism of everyone in the squad was the big difference for me. I've never seen anything like it before. I mean, you know, again, it's just music to your ears as a fan, isn't it? Because, you know, we're going to have a summer now where, or a shortened summer, you know, the footy's back again in September, where, you know, undoubtedly some amazing news out there today, Neil, that once upon a time Klopp said Sancho was a good football player. Who knew? Wow. but you know, this culture and mentality stuff, you know, whoever we sign, or whoever we don't sign, we sign. But that bit is absolutely key to a winning team, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously we've had some big figures with regard to that, like Adam Lallana. We've heard so much recently, haven't we, about how he sets the tone and the professionalism in the dressing room. But the good thing is, when you have that environment, when you have that culture, it does drip down to the younger players, and there'll be players who are stepping up. I mean, players like Salah and Mane and Firmino are becoming like the older heads. We've all seen the video of Milner geeing up the players before the game against Leicester. I think it not Leicester, it was Bournemouth. The game last season, like a cup final, to make sure that we brought that title home. I don't see anything changing. I can't wait for us to win number 20 in front of everyone. This has been so special. The way it's from Liverpool is just supreme. The professionalism and the technical skills. I mean, the winning goal that Oxlade-Chamberlain scored against Chelsea, where we just countered, just perfect football, just touch, pass, goal. That is what Liverpool are all about. We're always the best team in the world.
It's right. And surely the Liverpool Echo can Neil Dochen, if there is indeed a vote, there isn't one, but you know what I mean. Just show him some love. There's been plenty of love for Neil Dochen, by the way, on our review video of the season, how the league was won. We've put that out for free now on our YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, come out of this video, go into that video, give yourself 20 minutes or so, make a brew in your new Liverpool mug, and watch Neil in action post-match. You know, for me, the comments about Manchester City, which we won't repeat here because you've got business Neil today in his shirt and tie. But go and watch it and you'll see what I mean. It's the quote of the season from Neil Dochen. Nice one, mate. Enjoy your day. Nice one for coming on this morning.
Nice one. Pleasure.
That has been Talking Mets. Up the Reds.